Hi sir, welcome to Jamuura.com. It was very interesting to watch your documentary on Girish Kasaravalli and listen to you speak after that. You had an interesting journey. You are, I wouldn't dare to say, not very young for a first-time director, but usually when you see first-time directors, they are, fairly fresh and fairly young. So could you just talk about the journey up till now? As how did you come into filmmaking?
Well, I come from a place called Lucknow. It's a small town.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore now. Maybe a smart city very soon. Well, I come from a middle class family, and while I was growing up, I happened to see films like Bhuvan Chhome, if I remember, it was the first film which I saw. And I'm talking about the non-commercial films, and then I saw Sara Akash and things like that. These kind of films really excited me, and so they created some kind of a desire within me to be a filmmaker. But like the circumstances were, the family never allowed me to take up that kind of adventure. And so I went on a different path. My family wanted to be an IAS officer, and they wanted me to do well in studies and things like that. So I did all that, keeping the demands of the family in my mind. But given a choice at that point itself, while I was doing MSc in nuclear physics, I would have gone and joined FTII. So that dream remained unfinished all my life. The struggle in life was to first establish yourself financially, socially, in terms of family prestige, so on and so forth. So, and therefore, for that journey of 35 years, the filmmaking took a backseat, and I consciously put it aside in a different box, somewhere at the back of my mind, and I thought I will open it up at the right point in time. So just a couple of years back, when I had started reaching, what should I say, the tip of my professional career, or the height of my professional career, and I started realizing that I had an unfinished dream, and at that point in time I had sufficient financial and social resources so to get into what actually I wanted to do in my life. So I started educating myself. I went around, did short films, started reading and upgrading my knowledge about filmmaking, started attending workshops, etc., etc. Because and that's how one day I put it across to my wife, that I said, I don't want to die as a banker. I would rather like to die as a filmmaker. So that was the tipping point, and that really, from that day onwards, I decided that I'm going to finish this unfinished dream. And so the journey began.
It's quite interesting and quite dramatic, because I'm wondering what your wife had to say to that dramatic phase.
She is one who has been walking along with me. In fact, I shared this dream on my wedding night with my wife, that I want to be a filmmaker, and we often used to discuss about it, but she said, no, abhi to, we have to do this, we have to do that, this responsibility, that responsibility. So it went on, and she has been quite supportive. She knew that I always wanted to do that. So just when a couple of years back, when I said this to her, she agreed, and she said, now, okay, you can now start the different second innings of your life, and she has been with me, and that's how, if you see all my films, she always comes, Usha Srivastava comes as the producer of my film. She is not only the moral inspiration, she is also my fund provider, so to say, at this point in time.
Could you talk a bit about how you came to choosing Girish Kasaravalli and his films as a subject for your first film?
See, it's interesting, as I mentioned the other day, I went to join a film appreciation course which was done by FTII, and it was in Goa in 2012 July, if I remember correctly, and Girish ji had come to take a master class. So first we saw his film Dvipa, and then the master spoke. So somehow intuitively it occurred to me that this is the kind of film I would like to make, and this is the kind of a filmmaker I would like to become. So at the end of the class I went to him and requested him, sir, I want to be your assistant. So probably he found it difficult to believe. Then he asked me about my background and things like that. So I told him this is what I am doing. I'm running a real estate fund of $1 billion. So so it took some time for me to convince him that I was really serious about becoming a filmmaker at this stage in my life, and that to learn filmmaking from a filmmaker which I would say is not very well known in Mumbai and the northern part of India, and do a film on him. So it took me a lot of effort, lot of persuasion, lot of writing, lot of calls to make him believe that I really was serious about making a film on Girish Kasaravalli. See, another reason I must confess why I chose Girish Kasaravalli was that I felt, I was learning myself. I was wanted to upgrade my, the craft of filmmaking. So I didn't know about these idioms and language and the grammar. I had read about those things in theory. But I thought, while if I make a film on a filmmaker, that will give me an opportunity to study his film very scientifically, analytically, and also reason out with him as to why did he do this, why did he do that. So in the process, probably I would learn as a filmmaker. So while making this film, two things have happened. One is that I found him very inspirational. I found him to be an underdog. That's why I decided to make, and I liked his style of filmmaking, which is very, very bereft of frills and jargons. It's very simple approach, simple issues, simple human beings, simple characters, but with a lot of meaning. And that's what I thought was cinema is all about. We have to create different meanings. We have to create, meanings out of very simple things. So, and therefore I chose him as a subject because it gave me an opportunity to read his mind, get insight from him as to what is filmmaking. So this journey has been very fruitful for me. Although it's very satisfying to know that I've made a film on Girish and it's being appreciated the world over. It has been screened in Dhaka and so many other international film festivals as well. And it has upgraded my knowledge and my confidence of films making in the area of filmmaking. So now I can say with confidence that I am ready for my big film, and that was the dream. So that's how the journey has been.
Interesting way to go about it. Could you talk a bit about the structure of the documentary? When you were shooting, did you already have something in mind, or did you do it on was the film made on the edit table, or how did it evolve?
Yeah, honestly, I never. I just jotted down few things which I wanted to screen. For example, I wanted to screen while he was working. So I went to his set when he was working and shot him. I went to his village and went to his childhood issues. I went to his friends and family and shot about them. But I was not clear about what is going to be the structure, what is going to be the narrative of the film. It's only when we finished this film and we were going and I was sitting with my editor that we came out something like metaphors. I mean, the whole film is structured around the kind of metaphors he uses in each and every scene which he creates. So that's how we found this narrative and the structure and called it a life in metaphors. So then we structured the film in terms of which are those metaphors and how he has gone about, what is the relationship with those metaphors and what does he mean by those metaphors. and what is what is the metaphor in technically speaking as an idiom. So that's how the structure developed on the edit table.
And as far as shooting is concerned, you shot him shooting, you shot in his village, you shot him in his home, I think in Bangalore. So, could you talk about the experience of shooting a documentary? Obviously, your first documentary.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. See, in fact, he has been very supportive. He knew that I was putting in my personal money, so he has helped me a lot in terms of reducing my budget. So it's like, when he was shooting for some other film, like when he was shooting for Anantamurthy, he told me, I'm shooting this film, why don't you come and join? So I went, I took the, made use of that opportunity and shot him while he was shooting. So it saved me some amount of cost. That is one. And what was the other thing how to write?
The experience of shooting it
Yeah.
also, did he provide you inputs in terms of, was he also
No.
like shadow directing and telling you, okay, maybe you should place the camera here?
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, we never discussed about, in fact, we never discussed about what is going to be in the film. He said, he was very open. He was, sorry. I was telling him what I would like to shoot. So he'll guide me that if you want to shoot my village, that's the time when I am probably traveling to my village, you join me. Then when I told him I want to shoot him while he is shooting, so then he would tell me that this is the date when the shooting is happening, you join me. When I wanted, he came to Pune for some FTIA festival and all that. So that's the opportunity I took and said, I want to shoot you reliving your FTIA days. So he said, okay, I'm visiting FTIA on this day, you come and we'll shoot there. So he has been only supporting me in terms of facilitating the production of the film. But he never gave me input as to what should be in my film, what should not be in film. I told him I want copies of the film. So he gave me the context of the producer. So that was in fact the biggest struggle for me, to getting quality prints of, digitized prints of Girish's old films. Most of the films have not been digitized, and some of them are with the government institutions like Doordarshan, who couldn't care less about gems like Bandhana Vesha. So it has been a difficult time for me to get the prints, etc. But he only guided, he only provided me a support. And when in fact I showed him the film before releasing it, he said, the only suggestion he gave me is that, mera portion kam karo. I am talking too much. So why don't you, are you concentrating on me? Don't concentrate on me, concentrate on others. I respected that, but I stood to my guns, and I did what I wanted to do. In fact, sometimes he felt that this was a little uneasy for him, but I persisted. To be honest with him, he was not, somebody made a comment like that, he deserves an Oscar and all that. He said, yaar, ye sab mat bolo. This is what I feel, this is my voice. So I will stand by it and I will keep it in the film. So he never interfered that way.
Right. And as far as learnings from the film, right? So there are two things. What did you learn from him, and what did you learn about him? So maybe first about him, and then learn from.
See, what I learned about him is that this man deserves to be on top of the film world, but he has not been there. No, he has created products which are internationally world class. You go and talk to international, I interviewed a lot of international critics, they rave about his film. But in India, he has not got his due. So this man has been very, very reticent, this man has been very withdrawn. I learned that he is a kind of a person who never talks about himself. He is not marketing savvy at all. So, so this is one big learning which I got after spending some time with Girish, that he doesn't push himself. He articulates the voice of the millions in the downtrodden and the ordinary human beings, but he doesn't create a voice of his own. I know contemporary filmmakers who will talk from the top of the ceiling about their films, but he is not the person who will talk about his own films. So I learned a lot of things about his nature, his shy nature, his honesty, his integrity. I'm yet to meet a single person. I have interviewed so many of his cast and crew. I am yet to meet a single person who would say that Girish ji has been unfair to me, or he has done this injustice to me, or he didn't pay me this, or he didn't do this thing. Because you hear so many stories about filmmakers, who shortchange people all over across. But I am yet to meet a person who will not say good words about Girish Kasaravalli. So this is the kind of man he is.
And what did you learn from him as far as filmmaking is concerned?
So I learned quite a few things from him in terms of making a film. One is that, I always thought before starting on a venture that a filmmaking means huge amount of money. A filmmaking means going to the Switzerland and using big cranes to make a film. But I learned from him that film can be made with an ordinary camera in a village with doing recording on a mobile phone. So his film, he taught me that the money doesn't make a difference. If you want to convey something, if your cinema is not about using high technology, cinema is about touching people's heart. Cinema is about emotions, and the emotions can be done without technology. They were done 50 years back cinematically using very ordinary technology, and they still can be done today. So technology must not be the driver of your film. The content, the story that is telling, the idiom, the language which you want to use should be the driver of your film.
Right. And so what's next for you now?
Well, now I think I'm very confident in terms of where I have reached, and I'm going to launch my commercial film next. I have already finished 2 scripts. Parallelly I've been working on for last 2 years on 2 scripts. Those are ready, and those are going to be a small budget film though, but different, very different from what you have seen in Hindi cinema. It's going to be in Hindi, that's my mother tongue. So I'm shortly going to launch my first independent film.
We wish you luck with your film, and loved watching your film, and I must say that it's an absolute pleasure to watch something on a filmmaker you admire so much, and there is a dearth of such work happening in India. I think more and more people need to go out there and document some of these luminaries that we have and their work. So thanks for doing that, and wish you all the luck with your
Thank you, Arun. Thank you so much. Thank you.